Independent foreign policy and freedom from nuclear weapons. The state shall pursue an independent foreign policy. In its relations with other states, the paramount consideration shall be national sovereignty, territorial integrity, national interest, and the right to self-determination. There is a marked antipathy in the Constitution towards foreign military presence in the country or of foreign influence in general. Freedom from nuclear weapons. The Philippines, consistent with the national interest, adopts and pursues a policy of freedom from nuclear weapon in its territory. The policy of freeing the people from poverty and the principle of social justice. The state shall promote a just and dynamic social order that will ensure the prosperity and independence of the nation and free the people from poverty through policies that provide adequate social services, promote full employment, a rising standard of living, and an improved quality of life for all. Social justice. The state shall promote social justice in all phases of national development. The policy of respect for human rights. The state values the dignity of every human person and guarantees full respect for human rights. The right to security of person is a corollary of the policy that the state guarantees full respect for human rights under Article 2, Section 11 of the 1987 Constitution. This was held in the case of Razon versus Tagites. Further, the court held that as the government is the chief guarantor of order and security, the constitutional guarantee of the rights to life, liberty, and security of person is rendered ineffective if government does not afford protection to these rights, especially when they are under threat. What is the state's policy on family and on youth? The state recognizes the sanctity of family life and shall protect and strengthen the family as a basic autonomous social institution. It shall equally protect the life of the mother and the life of the unborn from conception. The natural and primary right and duty of parents in the rearing of the youth for civic efficiency and the development of moral character shall receive the support of the government. The state recognizes the vital role of the youth in nation building and shall promote and protect their physical, moral, spiritual, intellectual, and social well-being. It shall inculcate in the youth patriotism and nationalism and encourage their involvement in public and civic affairs. How about the policy of the state on women? So the state recognizes the role of women in nation building and shall ensure the fundamental equality before the law of women and men. Health and environment. The Constitution provides that the state shall protect and promote the right to health of the people and instill health consciousness among them. Right to a balanced and healthful ecology. The state shall protect and advance the right of the people to a balanced and healthful ecology in accord with the rhythm and harmony of nature. Generally, the provisions of Article 2, 1987 Constitution do not confer rights as they are merely declaration of principles and policies. However, the right to a balanced and healthful ecology, enunciated in Article 2, Section 16, gives rise to a cause of action that may be enforced by any citizen. This was held by the Supreme Court in the case of Oposa versus Factoran. Education. The state shall give priority to education, science and technology, arts, culture, and sports to foster patriotism and nationalism, accelerate social progress, and promote total human liberation and development. The state policies on labor. The state affirms labor as a primary social economic force. It shall protect the rights of workers and promote their welfare. Economy. Filipino control. The state shall develop a self-reliant and independent national economy effectively controlled by Filipinos. Falling under this policy is, of course, the Filipino ownership requirements in certain industries, otherwise known as the nationalized industries. Role of private sector. The state recognizes the indispensable role of the private sector, encourages private enterprise, and provides incentives to needed investments. State policy on agriculture. The state shall promote comprehensive rural development and agrarian reform. How about indigenous community? The state recognizes and promotes the rights of indigenous cultural communities within the framework of national unity and development. The state policy on NGOs. The state shall encourage non-governmental, community-based, or sectoral organizations that promote the welfare of the nation. Communication and information. The state recognizes the vital role of communication and information in nation building. Local autonomy. The state shall ensure the autonomy of local governments. Does local autonomy mean independence of the local governments? The court held in the case of Province of North Cotabato versus GRP Peace Panel that the Constitution does not contemplate any state in this jurisdiction other than the Philippine state, much less does it provide for a transitory status that aims to prepare any part of the Philippine territory for independence. State policy on political dynasties. The state shall guarantee equal access to opportunities for public service and prohibit political dynasties as may be defined by law. The court held that this provision does not contain a judicially enforceable constitutional right and merely specifies a guideline for legislative action. It is not intended to compel the state to enact positive measures that would accommodate as many as possible into public office. The privilege may be subjected to limitations such as the provision of the Omnibus Election Code on nuisance candidates. Integrity of public service. The state shall maintain honesty and integrity in the public service and take positive and effective measures against graft and corruption. State policy in full disclosure of transactions. Subject to reasonable conditions prescribed by law, the state adopts and implements a policy of full public disclosure of all its transactions involving public interest. The court held that intended as a splendid symmetry to the right to information under the Bill of Rights is the policy of public disclosure under Section 8, Article 2 of the Constitution. The policy of full public disclosure enunciated in Section 28 complements the right of access to information on matters of public concern found in the Bill of Rights. The effectivity of the policy of public disclosure need not await the passing of a statute. The complete and effective exercise of the right to information necessitates that its complementary provision on public disclosure derive the same self-executory nature. Now, the availability of access to a particular public record must be circumscribed by the nature of the information sought, that is, being of public concern or one that involves public interest, and not being exempted by law from the operation of the constitutional guarantee.